You don't want to wait decades to live. You want mornings without alarms, trips on your schedule, and Tuesday lunches with your kids, because you can. Society said freedom comes after 40 years and a gold watch. Truth, you can choose the fast lane sooner, if you learn the rules and start now. Escape comfort, think long-term, and build assets. That's how real freedom begins, today. The first killer is comfort, and it doesn't always look like laziness. Sometimes it looks like a steady paycheck, health insurance, weekends off, and a job that doesn't challenge you enough to make you quit, but drains you enough to kill your ambition. It's disguised as security. But security isn't freedom. Freedom is waking up and deciding what to do with your time. Comfort whispers in your ear that you're doing fine, that chasing something bigger is risky, that maybe someday is good enough. But someday is a myth. Nothing great happens later. Everything great happens when someone decides now is the time. Elon Musk slept on the floor of his office to build PayPal. Sarah Blakely sold fax machines door to door while building Spanx at night. They could have chosen comfort. Instead, they chose growth, uncertainty, and the possibility of freedom. Wealth never comes to those who play it safe forever. It comes to those who feel fear and move anyway. Success favors motion. Regret favors hesitation. The second wealth killer is short-term thinking. We live in a world addicted to speed. Fast food, one-day shipping, viral fame in 15 seconds, but real wealth is slow at first, and only looks fast to outsiders once it compounds. Most people say they want financial freedom, but they won't sacrifice a weekend to learn a new skill or invest money instead of spending it. They keep chasing hits of dopamine and wonder why they're still broke. Wealth requires you to see life in decades, not days. That's why teens who start investing at 18 often beat people who start at 30 with more money. It's why business owners who grind for 3 years building a system end up living like most people can't for the rest of their life. Look at Warren Buffett. Not because he's old and rich, but because he understood patience at a young age. He bought his first stock at 11. His wealth exploded not because he was a genius, but because he let time do the heavy lifting. Start small. Start now. Build something real that can ship this week. Invest early and automate it. Set it, forget it, let time work. Reinvest your first wins, tools, skills, better systems, not sneakers and status. Keep your lifestyle flat while income climbs. The gap funds growth. Compounding is boring at first. Then, it's unstoppable. Protect the snowball. Build, invest, reinvest, quietly. The celebration comes later, not now. This is how the system traps people. They earn money, then hand it right back in the form of car payments, credit cards, and interest. It's not that they're bad with money, it's that they were taught to use money for comfort instead of leverage. Wealthy people don't avoid debt. They use it differently. They take loans to buy assets. They let those assets pay for their lifestyle. Someone buys a luxury car. Someone else buys a pressure-washing trailer, a camera to start a content business, or a small rental property. One has a payment and a depreciating toy. The other has a cash-flowing asset that pays for the toy later. The middle class spends money to feel rich. The wealthy use money to build systems that make them rich. The deadliest phrase in the world is "I'll start saving when I make more money." Because by the time you make more money, your lifestyle will rise to match it. The earlier you flip your mentality from consumer to creator, from spender to investor, the faster you escape the 9-to-5 treadmill and the sooner your money starts working harder than you do. The fourth wealth killer is staying around people who think small. Your environment is the thermostat for your ambition. If everyone around you thinks working until 70 is normal, retiring broke is acceptable, and risk is scary, you will shrink your dreams to match their comfort. Not because you're weak, but because humans are wired to seek approval, not greatness. But if you get around people who build businesses, invest, talk about opportunities instead of gossip, your standards rise automatically. You don't even have to try. You just absorb it. That's why so many millionaires are surrounded by other millionaires. You rarely see a lion running with sheep. Find a group where your goals don't sound crazy. And if you can't find them in person, read their books, listen to their words, watch how they think. The right mentor, even from a distance, can save you 10 years of trial and error. Your life changes when the conversations around you change. If you ever feel like you're too ambitious for the room you're in, you're probably right. Don't lower your dreams. Change rooms. The fifth wealth killer is financial ignorance, and it's the most dangerous because it feels harmless. School never taught us how money actually works. It taught us how to follow rules, not how to create freedom. So people go through life signing loan papers they don't understand, working jobs they don't own, and trusting banks more than their own dreams. They think investing is only for rich people. They think starting a business is too risky. Meanwhile, the wealthiest people quietly collect assets while everyone else collects stuff. Robert Kiyosaki said the poor and middle class work for money, the rich have money work for them. But how can your money work for you if you never learn how to make it do that? A kid in his 20s can buy a cheap property, rent it out, live in one room, let someone else pay his mortgage, and in a few years use that equity to buy another. Someone else can build a faceless YouTube channel that pays them for videos they filmed 6 months ago. Someone can create a digital product or service that sells while they sleep. None of this is magic. It's understanding leverage, assets, and how to escape trading time for money. Financial ignorance keeps people on the slow road. Financial education puts you in the driver's seat of the fast lane. Here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Wealth is not about grinding until you're 70 then sitting in a recliner waiting to die. Wealth is about buying your time back while you're young enough to actually live. It's waking up and choosing your day. It's taking your kids to their first day of school instead of sitting in traffic. It's traveling while your knees still work. It's making money while you sleep, while you're at the gym, while you're at your kid's soccer game. That is real freedom. And you don't get it by following the same script that keeps everyone broke. You get it by building or buying assets, learning high-income skills, thinking long-term, and refusing to settle for average. You get it by putting yourself in the fast lane, where your growth is not limited by your hourly wage but multiplied by your creativity, systems, and ownership. You don't need to be a genius. You need to be relentless. You need to learn what schools never taught you. You need to think in terms of ownership, leverage, and time. You need to build something once that pays you over and over. You need to invest early and let compounding do the heavy lifting. You need to replace the question, how much does it cost, with how much does it make me? That is how young people become wealthy. That is how normal kids become free in their 20s or 30s instead of retiring at 70. And if you're still here right now, that tells me you're not just curious. You're serious, you're hungry, you don't want to survive, you want to live. So if this hit you, if it opened your eyes or lit something inside you, do me a favor and hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me where you're at in your journey and what you're building. Those small actions help this message reach more people who need it too. The fast lane isn't easy. It demands sacrifice, discipline, and courage. But you know what's harder? Waking up 40 years from now realizing you traded your whole life for a paycheck. So start now. Not when you're ready. Not when it's perfect. Now. Build that skill. Start that business. Buy that first asset. Surround yourself with winners. Learn money like your life depends on it. Because it does. Freedom is closer than you think if you're willing to chase it. This content is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice.